Welcome back to Elijah Plus. Thank you for joining us again for the Cupertino Uncovered podcast. This is Max that wasn't here last time, but then now Colton isn't here. So this is just our switcheroo. So, and he was sitting on that side too. So today we're going to be talking about how the iPhone 15 Pro, especially the Pro Max, is really in the hot seat of the situation. We know that Apple released the 15 lineup in September, I want to say the 12th, so it's been a couple weeks, and people have been learning about, Apple's movement when it comes to Mother Nature, and when it comes to durability with new titanium for the Pro lineup, and then experiencing Pro features coming down to the standard iPhone, so it's like a major upgrade for the standard iPhones with the 15 and the 15 Plus. But today, what we're going to do is just focus on the 15 Pro because that's where all of the drama has been happening. And first things first, fine woven. So people have been experiencing some either, not so great, but it's not a bad product, or some people saying that it's uncomfortable and they don't like the texture of it, and how it's not as durable as leather, or how it could be susceptible to more scratches and all the things. So I have my fine woven leather wallet, and I didn't get the case just yet, just because I wanted to see how it would feel. I like the feel. It doesn't have any scratches yet, but I noticed since it is a different texture from leather that I have to be a little more mindful of what what I put in my pocket with, so like my keys or anything that has any type of scratch potentially to hit on the MagSafe wallet. So I kind of just tend to have my phone with the wallet on a separate pocket, and to keep everything else either in my bag or my other pocket. So I know I showed you guys my fine woven, and so what did you guys think?
I liked it. I thought it felt really comfortable. I can definitely notice the difference from the leather in back when Apple did leather. Mm-hmm. But I could definitely see how like a key, like you were talking about, because usually I have my keys and my phone and sometimes my wallet, coins and stuff in the same pocket. I could definitely see how over the days and weeks the durability would kind of lessen, and how that would leave some marks on that and it wouldn't look too pretty on the back. That is something, especially if I was spending $40, $50.
Which it is $59.
$60 on a case. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'd want to spend that kind of money if I were going to have to be that careful with it. Mm-hmm. I think I would look for alternative options that, I like the material, but I also like the rubber material. And maybe I would find a case like that on Amazon that I wouldn't really have to worry about that. Because, at the end of the day, the whole point of a case is to help protect your phone and kind of that extra layer of security where you don't have to worry about that stuff. So I don't know if I'd be willing to put that kind of money in for that, for me to worry about that.
And I know since I have used the leather wallets beforehand, over the years when I had it, I did see the durability lessen after that, because it looks darker, it doesn't look as premium. But then when I'm coming to test out, fine woven, I'm like, okay, this is cool. This is more eco-friendly design and fabric that they use, but I'm still worried about the durability. Now, I'm a little afraid to put water next to it, because since it has more of that texture, feel like it's more, not necessarily like paper, but it kind of is more susceptible to getting more stained because of leather. It's thicker compared to the fine woven. So what do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking that almost like fabric feel. It's like, how is that gonna work with, like you were saying, the keys and all that? So I wouldn't personally use it on my phone. I usually use a more durable, more hard case, on my phone. So that's a no for me, dog.
Another interesting point, which I forget who I read it from, but I saw an article where it's like, the whole point of Apple switching from leather to the fine woven is for, obviously, to reduce their carbon footprint, to be more environmentally friendly. But if people are noticing all these scratches, there's going to be a ton of recalls, and what's the environmental impact of shipping all of those back? Mm-hmm. So someone had a good point about that, and it kind of makes you wonder, like, how much more environmentally friendly is this product going to be, where potentially a lot of people are going to be returning it.
Right, and it's also very new. It's Apple's first go around, just like when Apple came out with their first pair of AirPods. Everyone thought it was weird, and everyone thought it was like toothbrush top heads that were hanging from your ears, and now it's the most sold normal Apple product besides the iPhone itself. So I feel like since this is their test run and seeing how how it is in the real world. Maybe they'll go with the second round and make fine woven 2.0 or something like that, where it's more durable, but then it's also environmentally friendly. So obviously we'll just see from that of what they do moving forward. Now, I unfortunately overslept in trying to pre-order my iPhone 15 Pro Max and getting it in the natural titanium because I was like, you know what, it's natural titanium, will match with my watch fine, whatever. And I overslept and missed the pre-order slot, and I tried to do it later on and it was sold out completely until like mid-November, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I am officially depresso because I just could, and I set an alarm. I was just too tired.
It's like Black Friday.
Yeah, it's like everyone wanted the Pro Max that bad, and I'm just like, okay, well now I have to wait. I just kind of figure like why though? Like I get it has the 5x optical zoom lens. It does have titanium.
The action button.
Button.
But it's not the only one with USB-C.
Right. So I'm like, why does everyone want the Pro Max so bad? But what do you guys think?
I think that Apple should have been prepared, and they should have been like, okay, well this is the only one that has the 5x zoom, right? They should have known like people are gonna want this phone. They should have had plenty of them made, or in that process of being made.
Because the Pros are the most sold iPhones besides the standards, maybe. But like, especially with the Pro Max, especially with everything coming out with USB-C and the action button, the new features and new hardware, it's like you would think Apple would prepare because every year they talk. Even with the 14 Pro Max when that came out, it was always a delay.
Did that
It was
delayed.
delayed.
So is this a typical pattern?
It's a typical pattern.
In the past few years, it has been.
Yeah, so you would just learn Apple that you would make enough where everyone can get one, especially in the time frame of iPhone season, and they don't have to wait till like
December or something.
And especially with the content creators that buy multiple phones and then got to test them, or how does battery life work and all the things. So I'm a little disappointed, but that was just my little experience of trying to pre-order a phone. I know next year for the 16 Pro Max or whatever phone that they
You're gonna set like 5 alarms.
Yes. Like actually get up and pre-order. And
you would think Apple's logistics team would have all of that, that math calculated of how much extra inventory they need based on prior years. So it's just kind of surprising that this is like not even like once, but if this has happened over the past few years, how have they not prepared for that and learned and over order? Because even if you overstock, they're still gonna sell in the next few months. It's not like you're gonna be having that inventory forever. They're gonna sell eventually.
It's Apple, like they will sell.
Yeah, they will. They will definitely sell.
I'm just a little confused about that from Apple.
Yeah.
So as we move on, we kind of have something that I mentioned in the very first podcast, and where we would do something that's like more undercovered. So it's kind of going outside a little Apple's leeway of sticking to Cupertino things, but we wanted to share some cool tech that we've recently heard about and wanted to inform you all. So AirPods, like we mentioned before in the previous video, is that they have access to lossless audio with Vision Pro. And that's kind of weird because with the current Lightning version of the AirPods Pro 2, that doesn't have it. So it's like, it's weird, like is it because they have a USB-C port now, or is it that it's just something that they added into the updated version of AirPods Pro 2.0? So it's really weird to have that same, I mean obviously it's still the same with $249, but just to have lossless audio, you have to buy another set of AirPods Pro to work with Vision Pro to get the lossless audio. I mean, obviously the ones with the Lightning work with Vision Pro, but just to get that lossless particular sound quality, you have to go with USB-C AirPods Pro 2.
And with the Vision Pro 2, it feels like this sort of audio is really more meant for kind of like high intensity entertainment or streaming and gaming, rather than just kind of streaming, listening to music. At least that's kind of what I get from this.
Yeah. So I did a little bit of research on this with how the USB-C AirPods Pro are slightly different with the lossless audio as you're talking about. I think it's really interesting what they did. I think they did this very sneakily. So
and Apple does with everything.
Yeah. So the USB-C AirPods Pro 2, second gen, support the 5 gigahertz bands of the wireless frequencies for the ultra low latency and less interference. But the original only supports the 2.4 gigahertz band. So I was like,
So is it with charging basically?
no. So that is for like Bluetooth connections
Right.
over,
Oh.
so to your phone or to whatever device, right?
Right.
It's still weird why would they sneak that in just because it. Because my thing is,
Yeah.
they added it, but then it also. I don't want to like blame it on USB-C, but it's like, okay, this is just another feature that they're like, okay, we'll just throw it on here because we're just adding USB-C to this. And I don't want to blame it on the USB-C, but that's how I would correlate how they would just like make this a major update. And
I feel like this could have already been on the lightning.
yes,
phones.
it could have been. So
So you know,
people
Apple's got it. They got a they take pride in every single update that they do. And sometimes they push it back just to have an update. So
Yeah, so they can make more money. Right?
Yeah.
right, just like when the
I mean,
the HomePod original came out, and then they discontinued that. And then, shockingly, they were trying to sell it, but it was not getting through to people. They even did like a discounted price, and people still weren't buying them. So then they discontinued it. They came out with the Mini, and then once the Mini was doing good, then they finally came out with the HomePod original 2.0 now. So it's like they do things in moderation where it's kind of weird, where it's like, okay, we'll test the waters here, but then we'll like not say anything. Like for example, the temperature sensor that's in HomePod Mini. They didn't talk about that in the beginning because that can tell people the humidity in the room and then like carbon monoxide alerts and all the things. They didn't mention it in the Mini, but when the HomePod 2.0 came out with the OG size, then they mentioned, oh yeah, it's also in the Mini. Like no one, like you didn't think to tell us this, but I guess that was another marketing term of what they were going for. And once Vision Pro comes out, it's going to be amazing to see and how everyone's going to react to it and how they share their thoughts and opinions. But MetaQuest is, coming in with their Quest 3 to kind of be like the first to undermine, I guess, in a way, a Vision Pro. Yeah.
So there was also another one. They did I think another Quest Pro, I think. Which that one is a little more higher end, which I think is going to be slightly more of a competitor to Vision Pro. And it's more comparable to what Vision Pro is going to be.
Okay.
But Quest 3 is a little bit cheaper of one, and we've seen, the Meta Quest and the Quest 2. Those have been out for a period of time now.
And the Quest 3 is $499, right?
Yep.
Okay, $499.
Yep. And so now the resolution of the Quest 3 per eye, 2064 by 2208, with a 90 hertz refresh rate. That's pretty solid for being only $500.
Compared to,
like
is it 3,500?
3,500.
Vision. So
and then having it is 4K for each eye.
Yeah. It's going to be
technically 8K.
really good, really solid.
Yeah.
So, and then the processor is a Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 processor. And you can either do 128 gigs or 512 on that. And of course, it'll be a little more expensive if you want the 512.
Right.
With 8 gigs of RAM on the Quest 3, 2 to 3 hours of battery life. Okay.
I mean, that's the same like Vision Pro, just only 2 hours. So and then all day battery life when plugged in.
Plugged in.
Yeah.
Duh, right?
Very efficient when working and moving around the office, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it definitely seems like Meta or Facebook or whatever you want to call it. It's definitely kind of targeting that audience that doesn't have. Yeah, I still call it Facebook.
Same.
It's just like X. We don't call it Twitter. I mean, we don't call it X. We call it Twitter.
I don't know one person who calls it X now. But it seems like Meta's really targeting an audience that can't, spend $3,500 on a Vision Pro in early 2024, and I think that's smart for them. It seems like the hardware and the specs closely match up. It seems like maybe not quite. Maybe Vision Pro still has some
higher up,
some higher ups, but I mean, with a delta of $3,000 and those specs, if I was in the market for one of these headsets, I think I'd maybe go with the Meta Quest.
So see, my thing is, I would wonder how like latency is because compared to what Apple has been working on for years, I feel like it's under like a different type of level of like AR, and you know, Apple is very particular. Not to say like, you know, not to say what's AR and like virtual reality. That's what I'm looking for. They didn't mention it once. If anything, it was like AR, and they want you to be in the real world,
okay.
Also, you know, simultaneously, you know, do what you want to do, but you know, so you can still interact with people. You can still, you know, have your own space. But it's a way to like, as Tim Cook says, you know, to look through and not at. So I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with this. But my thing is, I don't plan on getting the Quest 3, but I want to know how people would feel about latency, because after that, people are like, if it's too bad, then they're not gonna like it, and then some may feel like they have a headache or some type of nauseated, you know, whatever from using it. So I'm just like, okay, yeah, it's cheaper, but Apple has been working on this for years to make sure there's no latency on this. There's no type of, you know, quote unquote flaw, for lack of a better term, of what Vision Pro offers.
I think another advantage Apple has too, definitely with the Vision Pro, is just integrating it into the Apple ecosystem. You know, just as we see with the Apple Watch and the Mac and all the other Apple products, with your messages and, you know, photos and videos and all, you know, Apple TV, all those apps. I feel like Facebook or Meta, I don't think they have that same capability, you know, because I don't really think because I don't have Facebook anything, so I don't think I'm really in the Facebook ecosystem at all. So, you know, with the Meta Quest 3, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the previous Meta, like, have they been more targeted towards gamers, or what's the main use that people buy them for? Is it for gaming?
It's what I've seen. It's a lot for gaming.
Okay.
They really cater towards gamers.
Because they got the controllers as well.
Yeah,
right. Because I know they also
have the Quest Pro, which is $1,000.
Okay.
And this, I think, is going to be more of a competitor to the Vision Pro.
Yeah.
And this one has 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. That's the base on the storage. I'm sure you could add more. And this one, you know, has slightly better specs and stuff. So I think it's just going to be interesting. This one has the capability of the AR as well, but the Quest does not, because it just has that white front to it in this one.
Yeah. Because I know they did demo a few different productivity uses of the Quest. I'm not sure if it was the Meta Quest 3, it might have been in other versions, but it kind of seems like the Quest is more focused on like gaming, and Apple is kind of marketing their Vision Pro, because I remember in the keynote it was a lot towards productivity. There was a shot of a guy in the office with 3 different monitors and like the keyboard, and it looks really cool. So it kind of almost makes me wonder if they're going towards 2 different types of, like, Meta's going towards gamers mainly, and then Apple's going towards
versatility with like entertainment, but you can also have it where it can enhance your workflow. And maybe you're tired of looking at a screen all day. Maybe you want to throw on Vision Pro and then, you know, connect the screen from your MacBook to be in a bigger, broader display, and it's like you're not really technically looking at a physical screen, even though you're looking through Vision Pro. And I think it's just I can't like fathom my thoughts over it until I actually get to try it. And I know most people were a little nervous about like the optical ID with it, you know, reading your irises. But I feel like Apple has built a brand with, especially always talking about privacy and on-device lock, where Apple will not know your information unless you give them permission to. So I feel like I'm not really nervous about that, but it's still, I can't really like gather my thoughts about it until I actually try it for myself, because then I can actually like, you know, ponder upon it and marinate on it, and then share my thoughts and opinions about what Apple has been working on, either in secret or, you know, with also the rumors coming out and what we are expecting, but for what they've been working on for so long, to where it's like, it's, you know, magical and seamless as they like to, you know, portray it to be.
And how practical and how productive it makes you, like, in your regular day-to-day, you know, work life. Like, you know, does this make you more productive? Is it practical? Could this really replace my computer? I think over 2024, we'll start to see some of those questions answered, and that'll really determine the direction of Vision Pro in terms of how many people are going to buy it, who's
Right.
going to buy it.
And then I also heard through Waveform podcast that they gave like a slight mention that it's only Vision Pro. I don't know what source they have behind it, but I don't think they're making They said that they're not. They said that they think the person who wrote it that they're not making a like light version of Vision. Or Vision Pro. So that was kind of be interesting of what.
Just like one model.
Yeah, just one model
Okay.
of Vision Pro. There's no SE version.
Yeah, okay. that
There's
makes
no
sense.
like
no Pro Max version.
Yeah. just Pro. And I'm like, $3,400 is obviously steep for a lot of people, but it's like, after Apple working on this product for so long, it's like, how do you take out certain things where it doesn't give off that seamless experience of what they've been working on for so long?
Yeah.
And I think if they did try, maybe they took out a few of the sensors where it's like, not for latency, of course, but just something where it's not as many cameras, but maybe it's geared towards maybe Apple Arcade or just simply just
Education
watching.
too is a big one in the
Yeah,
classroom.
that's a good point.
If they made like an SE version that's significantly less, maybe schools could buy this and really utilize this technology in the classroom. I think that'd be a really good use
It's
case
great for
it.
STEM projects.
Yes,
like
STEM.
For like saying, we're in Paris, we're in Europe or something,
Right.
Things like
yeah,
that.
it's definitely potential like for a lot of this, and that's why I'm just saying like if they did, maybe they just did a not dumbed down version, but it's just something where it's another standard where educators can use it, like they said before with STEM, or they can have it where they can have chances to make apps for it that is more affordable for schools to use it because
I've seen something saying that there could be a possibility of one that has slightly not quite as good on the visuals, so it would be like 1080p versus 4K or like 1440p.
Things like that, where it's not like
That could be
4K for each eye, but
Yeah.
maybe like 1080p or
Which is still, kids
which is-
aren't really gonna.
they're not gonna really care for
Yeah.
that much, but it's still something where it's more affordable for people to at least get a taste of what
Right.
Vision Pro is about.
Yeah.
And so just to go back to 15 Pro, I know we kind of gave 15 Pro a break from the hot seat, but it's been a lot going on with comparing durability and then overheating, and then with both of those being major factors, the 15 Pro lineup has been kind of shaken because we hear from the 15 Pro when they talk about in the keynote in Apple, where they made the back glass more, repairability friendly. And so, when we see Apple Tech or Jerry Rig Everything, test out the durability for these phones, for Jerry Rig Everything, he literally tried to bend it,
Yeah.
and the back glass just shattered.
Yeah.
And then with Apple Track, with Sam, he's dropping it from different heights and everything. And so far, for the most part, it was doing fine. But then after a certain amount of height, it was just like the full glass broke, and then the back area of the camera module came off. But the thing is, it's and then overheating. They're the phones are getting abnormally hot, and you're like, what is going on? So it's just
I've seen some things on that, and I feel like if they're dropping it from that high,
it's unrealistic.
Who's going to be doing that,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not going to
At most, it's going to be from our pockets to the ground. It's not going to be or maybe up here when we're trying to juggle everything.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be from 6'5", 6'8",
Or
7 foot
20,
height.
30 feet off a balcony.
That's what it was.
If it falls and it breaks,
I'm
not surprised by it.
Yeah.
I expect it to break.
So it was after the 14th drop from 20 feet or something.
The 14th drop?
The 14th.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what Sam Cole's video was on Apple Track.
Like a 20, 30 feet.
20, 30 feet, yeah.
I think that's pretty good.
It's
That is
pretty
pretty
solid.
good.
Was that
pretty
the
solid,
Pro
though.
Max or was that just the Pro?
I
Got the
believe it was
Pro
the Pro
Max.
Max.
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember in Jerry Rig Everything's video this past week, the phone he bended and kind of snapped in half, it was the Pro Max, but he did the same thing with just the Pro and it didn't snap at all.
Yeah.
So it's the extra space, and I don't know the chemistry behind it or the physics behind it, but it seems like that bigger display is more susceptible to
bend a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. And then I did see a YouTube short by a creator who obviously repairs iPhones, and then he gave like a bigger light to the situation. And so usually when it comes to the back glass, the reason why it's way cheaper because for a 14 Pro Max, if you shattered the back glass and you went to repair it, it was like $500. Yeah. That's half of the iPhone right there.
Might as well just buy it new.
Right. And so and then with the 15 Pros, it's significantly cheaper. It's like maybe $300 cheaper. So it's like around $100-200 to repair. And so when the guy opened up the phone, there's like a sheet of metal that's technically on the back glass of the iPhone, and it's on the 14 Pro Max. Well, it's on the 14 Pro's lineup. It's on the 13s, but for the 15 Pro, it's not. The metal is not on the back. It's just the glass itself. But the metal is on the phone itself, so that's what makes it easier to repair.
Right. They said it is easier to repair.
Yeah. So it's like I said, it's like a give and take of like, okay, we want more friendly repairability, but then I was like, okay, we'll give it to you.
Make it a little cheaper.
But we'll also make it a little cheaper. But now people are like, well, now iPhone's integrity for whatever is wrong. And I'm like, well, they literally said on the keynote it was more repairability friendly. So
which means less durable. So it's a trade-off.
It's a trade-off. It's literally a trade-off because we have the curved edges, so now it's it doesn't really go sharp into your whatever. I guess for me it would be my pinky finger. It's not sharp in the hands, and then it's lighter, of course, and then also with recently overhearing about the overheating issues, we did find information that it's really a software bug that's going on with the iPhones that are making it susceptible to more heat and then losing battery life, and everyone's just like, what is happening, what's going on?
So one thing on the overheating thing, so I read something, and Apple actually came out and said something about this. They say, we have identified a few conditions which can cause iPhone to run warmer than expected. And now, apparently within the next, month or so, or pretty soon, they're going to be putting out a new software update.
That's like 17.1, I think, latest
something like
October.
That, yeah. That will hopefully resolve this. They also said something like it could be certain apps that are causing it to be.
I think like Instagram, TikTok, and then a few I think Apple Arcade games were heating up. And I remember Marquez was talking about it. Like he said when he was just kind of relaxing using Instagram, the phone heated to like over 110 degrees. Yeah. But I forget what example he stated. But when he was like outside in the sun, like kind of running around, I forget exactly what he was doing. He was fine.
No heat at all. I'll display the full quote so you guys can see it. I got it off of Apple Hub, so definitely follow them to get really good information of what the details are ahead. But yeah, I'm just like, this has been a very just controversial thing going on with the 15 Pro Max especially. And the 15 Pro has just been in its cool seat, haven't been dealing with any heat, I don't think, but definitely it's just been more durable. Yeah. And then just to wrap things up, we hear a little bit of how the layout is going to be for the pill shape notch. Now the notch has been on the iPhones for a very long time. And me personally, I'll also display the graphics so you guys can see for yourselves. But it's going to be, 14s, notch, 15, and 15 plus. I'm sorry. So 14 with a notch, the 14 Pros with the dynamic island, the 15s both having dynamic island, the 15, and then the 16 Pro is going to have the under, I think Face ID, or what was it again?
It looks like it's not going to be until the 17.
Okay, so they're both going to have the pill again for the 16, and then the 17 Pro will have the under display panel, and then Face ID under, and then it'll be again with the pill for the 18, but then the 18 Pro will have the under display, and then the 19 with the iPhones will have the under display. And then
so it'll just be like a little dot in the middle.
Yeah, a little dot in the middle until the iPhone 19 Pro with the cameras under the display.
Yeah.
Now
2027.
Yeah. And my thing is, I personally don't think that's gonna work out, just because the dynamic island is really, 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 really useful, and they may add things where it's more, dynamic.
Right.
So
Yeah, dynamic.
I feel like since the notch was already on the notch was already on so many models for the 10, the 10S, the 10R, the 11, the 12, the 13. That's 6 years with the notch itself.
Yeah.
So I feel like Dynamic Island is here to stay for probably 6 years. And then when we get like iPhone, I don't know, like 20, 21, we'll have like something we'll have the Face ID under the display, and then we'll just have the pill shape. But they may even like have it where Dynamic Island is, still usable, but unless you're not doing anything particular, like, live activities or timers of music playing, like, it'll just go up software and then like come back down when you're using the activities feed.
That's what I'm thinking. Eventually, it'll probably just come up from the top of the screen, even though the camera and Face ID is under the screen. It'll just like kind of fade in from the top, fade back out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Because I'm like, it wouldn't make sense since it's very, very new, and Apple likes to take their time to change things, especially, we know from the 30-pin connector to Lightning, then like the next port for the next decade. And then and it was really funny though, because they did technically say it's for the next decade, and then here comes the EU rolling around the corner and saying, hey, that decade's about up. Why don't we just switch all over to USB-C? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm like, is that a coincidence? Like, they just like time and like, okay, now's the time to be like forcibly USB-C. So.
It seems like the EU has a lot of power in dictating iPhone's new phones. The new iPhones. So we'll see. But yeah, it seems like Apple's like already thinking years and years ahead of what new features they could add, so they could start developing and testing these different things for production later on.
Yeah,
and I think that's smart.
But yeah, don't get me started with the EU. I've heard of slight things with the EU that I'm like, no, you're messing with Apple's integrity and foundation. Stop it.
Yeah,
but the side loading I don't trust, because I would rather have Apple have me safe in their privacy bubble. Now, if you want to go and adventure and sideload apps, that's on your jurisdiction. But I feel like it's going to be very hard for them to like allow users to do that, because it's going to be like a step by step by step by step process before they're like, all right, have at it. So
I'm sure Apple will just lead the EU. I'm sure they'll be fine as a company.
Not necessarily, because they make big markets in the EU.
No, I'm kidding.
And I'm just like,
they really do. They make a lot of money.
They make a lot of money.
Is that their biggest? Is the American market the biggest?
American market is the biggest.
It's the biggest.
China's big too.
China's big, very big too.
So.
I think probably the EU area is like maybe the third. Because I know Japan and China are like our biggest buyers besides the Americans too. But yeah, this has been a very controversial and hot topic, and all the things that we can get from 15 Pro Max.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you guys think? Let us know your comments, all the things that we want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts, comments, fears, concerns? Share it. Make sure you hit like, hit the subscribe. This has been the Cupertino Uncovered Podcast. This is Max, and this is Michael, and myself, Elijah Conley, and we shall see you in another video.